Hey everyone, it's Leandra at the Kentucky facility for New Vocations Racehorse Adoption Program. And today for our late episode of Trainer Tip Tuesday, I am coming to you live from the back of my horse, who is a New Vocations grad named Honest Money. And we're just cooling off here, so apologies for the glowing sweat appearance, but I wanted to just talk to you guys a little bit about the blame game. So what I mean by that is the idea that when we are riding, we're interacting with our horses, that it's a dance. It's a two bodies, two sentient beings who are trying to coordinate together. And it's really easy to blame the horse for things that are going wrong or things that just aren't going right, especially because they can't exactly talk back to us. And I don't know about you guys, but I was told as a kid, you never blame the horse, it's always the rider's fault. I would love to hear people's thoughts on that, maybe now as grown adult riders, and what your perspective is on that. But I'm going to give you an example here. So when I'm reaching an issue with my horse, or just being cognizant of patterns that I see, for example, the horses that I've ridden longer tend to be really good at bending to the left and not so much to the right. So I have to consistently work on more 90-degree turns or just bending to the outside when we're going to the left. And I recognize that for a long time, because I distinctly remember my high school coach yelling at me about this, for dropping my shoulder, my left shoulder. And then I was injured by a horse probably 6 or 7 years ago. We got a pretty nasty bite that left a hematoma and killed some of the muscle in my left arm. So I'm constantly trying to unclench that muscle. It's really hard for me to relax that bicep now. And as a result, I have to work extra hard to compensate for that discrepancy, because I'll think in my head, if I'm not looking, that those reins are even, and they are not in fact even. And the same thing with my hips. If the way that I drop my shoulder means that I have to work extra hard to lift my pelvis, because that is constantly something that the horse is feeling, and I have to recognize that I'm creating that discrepancy in the horse. So I always want, let's have a little challenge, I guess, here. I'd love to hear your opinion, but also maybe just as you're riding, let's say the tip for this week is to be cognizant of the things that you need to work on and the way that it might impact your horse, because it's always what I try to do when I'm having a conflict with a horse, and this is especially important for young green horses, or green horses of any age, but definitely the guys here can benefit from, when you run into conflict, first and foremost, asking yourself, how can I approach this with more love, more compassion, and more understanding? Because sometimes it's just a matter of miscommunication. Maybe you're asking things in a way that they don't understand, and that might be because of the way that they were trained on the track, if it's an OTTB, and certainly with the off-track standardbreds as well. So it might just be a misunderstanding, and then it might also be something that you're doing, and that happens all the time in miscommunication. And that also applies to any relationship in general. Always be asking yourself, how can I approach this situation with more love, more compassion, and more understanding? And I'll tell you what, in my experience, that helps make things a lot more clear. So I hope that it can provide some resolution for you guys as well. But I'd love to hear your opinions on the blame game, and hopefully any results that you have from approaching any sort of issue you're having under saddle, or on the ground for that part, by reframing it with the mindset of how you can put more understanding, compassion, and love in it. So thanks so much for joining me on this late Trainer Tip Tuesday, and hopefully you'll tune in for future videos. Thanks, guys.